First of all, thank you so much for everyone for joining us. I know those who are in India, the time is like 8:30 p.m., but still, all of you have managed to join this time. On behalf of IvyCap Ventures and on behalf of Bharat Innovates, I would like to thank our speaker for the day, Rishi. He has taken so much of time and efforts to be part of us today to help you all with an amazing session, and which is one of the very, very important session for the day. So, to give a quick introduction, Rishi have been part of as a GTM consultant and a senior GTM expert for multiple different startups across the world in multiple different countries as well. He's a very passionate leader driving strategy, innovation, and growth in multiple sectors with 20 plus years of experience across product, strategy, marketing, engineering, everything. And while we were speaking, he was telling me that his superpower is like networking, building partnership, and strategic thinking. And while we were thinking what is the right topic to speak to you all today, he suggested, while you are all traveling to France now in few days that's coming up, this is the most important topic that all of you should be knowing for, because while you are in that conference, while you're meeting a lot of stakeholders, over the days we looked at multiple topics of how to build partnerships, what are the different kind of investors coming in, how to speak to investors, etc. But then how do we convert these conversations into deals and revenue through these conferences is one of the important topic. And I think there is no one better than Rishi to take this session. So I would really thank you, Rishi, for taking this time for us and welcome you to the session, and over to you.
Well, thank you, Ananya. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to talk to you today. It's always exciting when you're leading this startup. You're one of the few startups chosen to go abroad. You're going abroad. It's like a dream come true. But while that is true, you don't want to just go to this foreign country with this delegation, take some pictures and some souvenirs from the conference and come back. You want to make sure that your trip is very well worth it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So before we jump in, just a little bit more about my introduction. Um, I do come from the IIT pedigree. I also have a master's in EE as well as MBA from UCLA Anderson. Uh, I have worked for many big companies, small companies, as engineer, as a go-to-market expert, et cetera, et cetera. And during my course, I have talked to more than 500 big companies, reasonably big companies. Set of meetings with them, discussed various things of value for both participants, etc. Immediately after my MBA, I was market analyst for Lux Research, which is a market research firm. So I had to go and talk to experts, and that's where I started really developing this skill of working the conference. Over the last 15 years, I have attended uh, more than 1,500 conferences all across the most of them in Silicon Valley, but some other places as well. India included, Europe included, as well as the rest of US. Um, After my gig at Samsung, I really wanted to work with startups very closely. So I stepped out and I said, I'm going to do this full time. And so I became a mentor at various different accelerators, starting with Falcon X, then Techstars, Plug and Play, and Cleantech Open, et cetera, et cetera. So with that background, let's jump into the actual content. So before you go on any trip, you really need to have your networking goals. If you don't have the goal, you don't have the North Star, you don't really know what you want to achieve, and you get lost. And I have done that myself. When I go to a conference just like that without any goal, you don't really get much out of the conference. So it's really important that you have certain goals. And it is not only enough to say, hey, I talked to these people, I collected so many business plans, business cards, but you need to really have goals like after this conference, I want to come back with so many meetings. I want to see at least some of those conversation converge into a product sale or an investment or whatever it is that your goal is. Um, and there are many aspects to it. You have to prepare even before you go. You have to really understand the lay of the land, improve your follow-ups. So it happens before conference, during conference, after conference, etc. So that's what is our agenda. We are breaking it into, first of all, understanding the cultural differences between various countries. Now, again, I have mostly spent my career in the US, so this is a very NRI-centric view. I never worked in India, so you may have a slightly different view than me, which is okay. Uh, but what matters is how other people are viewing you, right? Especially when you're going abroad. So, what I'm going to talk about, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, it is at least true for me. And I know it's true for a lot of people I know around here. By the way, I'm in Silicon Valley, San Jose, California. So that's the first part. Second, we'll jump into what are the pre-event things you can do. Then the core of the topic, how do you work the floor in conferences, and then post-event follow-ups, etc. Um, so first topic. So there are I have worked with companies, of course, in the US, India, and some in Europe, but most of my experience is working with companies in Asia, Korea, Japan, China, and of course, US is also a bulk of it. I know you guys are going to Europe, so what I say has somewhat relevance, but I'm confident you'll still gain a lot of value from what I'm talking about. So, when it comes to trust building, my view is India is like a pineapple. For external, the external surface looks very complicated, but once you're in, you can really benefit and gain value. That's where your sweetness is, right? It's a relationship first driven concept. We want to establish relationship, etc. However, in the US, the personal relationship building is important. I'm not saying it's not important at all, but it's not emphasized as much as in India. We quickly want to narrow down to your value-driven stuff. And value for Americans is growth, making money, saving money. Americans are very direct about those things. In Europe, everybody in business wants money, don't get me wrong, but Europeans are more risk averse, and so they will look for compliance, following the processes, GDPR, our data is not stolen or taken out of Europe, etc. Those things are more important. Uh, Now, Asia is a mixed bag. Japan on one extreme is very consensus driven. Um, Korea is very aggressive. China is also very aggressive in terms of moving fast. Um, all of Most of the East Asian countries are very hierarchical, so it stops down. Although some consensus in Japanese companies happen bottoms up. I'm not going to talk too much about Asia, but I want that to have you as a reference. Asia is often referred to as coconut, very hard from outside, but once you crack in, you can do business very well. Europe, I compare it with sitafal, which is not very hard from outside. It looks structured and everything, but once you go inside, you can, it's compartmentalized. Each country has a different dynamics. but you can benefit from all of them. US is like peach. The outer core is very easy to break in. People are very friendly, etc. But when it comes to real stuff, there is a lot of, it's hard to get into the core, even for people who have lived here for a very long time. Having said that, our Indians have made it to the CEO ranks of big multinationals, and you all know that. So the core is not completely indestructible. So what does that mean for pitching style? I'll not talk about India too much, but let's focus on US and Europe. Um, while in India, you may focus on high-level growth potential, macro trends, etc. Um, in the US, you want to quickly get to the value proposition. Um, Europeans stress a lot on numbers, and they want to see analysis with concrete data. And the decision speed is very fast in the US. If things move on, it can drag for big companies, but typically it's faster than most other places. In Europe, it can be fast. You have to keep in touch in terms of fast response, but they are deliberate, and the actual decisions may take longer. Um, Handling objections, I think, most of the Asia, we're very peace-loving people. We don't want to directly say no. Many a times we don't even show excitement, thinking, oh, they're gonna, uh, you know, take advantage of us or something. We have a lot of those things going on in the mind. But in the US, people are pretty direct, whether it's giving feedback or showing excitement, etc. So don't take it personally. Again, European side, they are very analytical, structured, etc. Again, variations between countries. Germany is very considered a lot more direct than US. Um, the most extreme example of directness is Israelis. They will even cuss each other while giving feedback, like, you fool, you don't know this, that kind of stuff. Americans are usually more professional. They will not use cuss words. All right. So what does it mean for you um, on the conference floor, or even when you are interacting with them? Um, Cut down your warm-up time. So when you're talking to somebody, um, do not extend the small talk, weather, how is the conference, how is the food, etc. Chai samosa conversation. And don't extend it too long. Keep it bare minimal. Uh, if you have a 30-minute meeting, all your intros and warm-up time should be 5 minutes or less. Now you can scale it down in a conference setting where you may be talking to somebody for 5 minutes. So your warm-up time is really low. Um, in the US, they want to see if the people evaluate quickly whether they want, or assess quickly whether they want to continue talking to you or not. So you have to get to that value portion pretty quickly. Um, if they don't think you're valuable, they will try to move on, and that's okay. They are just respecting your time. They're not necessarily disrespecting you, which is what most South Asians would take it as, even Asians would take it as. Direct communication, I talked about it before. Um, it's important to be clear. You can still be very friendly, even after saying no. You can say simply, "Oh, I don't see any synergy right now, but let's keep in touch." Uh, exchange numbers, etc. Um, I I already talked about getting to the key point before. Um, uh, when it comes to getting to the key point, you have to really understand what, in general, people in these countries value. People in US, they want to do business. They're very transactional. As you can see in the war games, our current president is an extreme example of that. Um, But yeah, it is in general true that Americans want to quickly talk about money, either talk about growth or where you are adding value. Europeans tend to trust more on credibility, risk. As I said, they're risk averse. So um, keep these things in mind. These are extremely important, and these are the ones that really can cause mental friction, and you may get frustrated, angry, all those emotions. So just remember, there's nothing wrong. They're not trying to disrespect you. They're just doing their normal business. Um, Fast follow-up, again, in my interactions with people in India, people are still have a very casual attitude. हाँ चलता है. Uh, and so the follow-up may not happen fast. मैं तो इधर गया था इधर. So usually in the US and Europe, they expect fast response, even if you have to say that, hey, I'm not available next week, but let's sync up after that. That's fine. But you still need to kind of set that expectation and respond quickly. So before I jump into the pre-conference and conference, etc., let me start with a fishing analogy. So uh, going to a conference, getting a customer or investor is like fishing. Those customers, investors are like fishes. Um, and you need to catch them. Um, so first thing you need to know is what is your fish? Are you catching a salmon? Are you catching a trout? Or what are the characteristics of that fish? Then that is your ICP, ideal customer profile, or it could be ideal investor profile or ideal partner profile. The people you are interested in the conference. You have to have really clear idea. Um, Second is the hook. How am I going to lure this fish to come to me? That's your bait, hook and bait. The bait is usually a shorter pitch, and the hook is the whole thing behind the structure behind it. After I do my first 10-second pitch, what sign I'm gonna look for to so that they give me 30 more seconds. After that 30-second pitch, how am I gonna get into a 30 minutes meeting later or whatever? So that's your process. And lake is just a place where the fishes live. You need to find the lake. Conferences are a good lake, but not all conferences are good lakes. Um, there's a whole lot of things that go on into selecting which conferences you go to. Many a times, a startup founder they go to conferences that have other startup founders, and it just becomes an echo chamber. You don't get any customers, um, but it makes you feel good. Maybe you'll get some investors there, though. So think about conferences as lakes. There are many other lakes than conferences, but we'll not talk about it. So there are 8 different things you can do before the conferences, and I really emphasize a lot on this, and so that's why you'll see 8 things here, and the other sections have lesser things to do. This is super important to prepare yourself. Um, so the first portion is, of course, you need to understand who is your fish. Um, you know, you need to understand the problem you're solving, the pain you're solving, what is your solution, uh, how it quickly works, and why are you better than your competition. Um, the reason is when you talk to somebody, they are going around with their problems, and you really need to quickly remind them of that conference. It's like, you find their jakham and you putting namak, mirchi, tel, everything on it. That's what will get attention. And then you tell them, oh, I can, heal this. And they suddenly get very interested. And then you don't necessarily need to go in gory details about your features, but give them assurance that, yes, we have the solution. And now they may say there are others who have solutions. So you also need to have a quick response on why you and not others. So those are typically enough for a conference kind of networking. Um, so with that, the 30-second pitch, the hook, you will have to come up with multiple version of these. There's an investor version, customer version, partner version. Um, in the customer version, there may be, again, multiple variation. Your product may be solving 5 different uh, pain points. So you should have a pitch starting with each of them. And then we'll go into how you can rehearse that and figure out what is working. You want to quickly go to things that are working. Because even though you can solve those 5 problems, you're not doing charity here. You want to quickly build your business. So focus on something that's really moving fast. Uh, then, once you have the hook, you really need to prepare the qualification questions. So qualification questions are like, there are multiple types. There is an opening question. This is just, hey, how is the conference? That also acts as like a warm-up question. Then you quickly throw them qualifier questions. Hey, which company do you work for? How many people are there? What is your role? This is all trying to match that persona, that person with your ICP and as well as persona. That's why you prepared for those ahead of time. Uh, Once you know that this person's company is interesting to us and their persona may be interesting, may not be interesting. Um, if it is completely interesting, we just move on to a different person. But if you think if you think that if they are not the right person, they can at least get you to the right person, then you continue the conversation. Um, so once you qualify that, okay, yes, this is indeed my ICP and persona, or I can get to the persona, then you ask further diagnostic questions. So what is your biggest challenge? Uh, you know, when you know their pain, that's when you can suggest them somewhere your solution. Then you can use the right pitch, the right 30-second pitch version, addressing their specific pain point. If there is no pain point they have, you can simply ask, have you ever experienced a problem like this? Then they may suddenly remember. But that also tells you that it's not completely on top of their mind. But yes, they do have problems. So those are the kind of conversation you want to be prepared for. So you should prepare those questions. Of course, you can actually use them in the next section. But you really need to have those questions prepared. Um, Scouting the water. So before you go to the conference, you want to know everything about the conference. I mean, first of all, you want to scout for different conferences. But for this particular trip, I don't think you have that option. There's a whole lot of things that go on into which conferences to go to. Once you find out the conference, you can see if there's an attendee list or exhibitor list. Exhibitor lists are usually available on their website. Um, Attendee list, they may have a conference app, etc. So if you can get that, speakers are always available. Those are the things that conferences promote. Um, so take a look at it. You're always looking for who can be investor, who can be partner, who can be customer, um, and start assessing them. What else can you do? You want to prepare some swag before you go to a conference. Yes, you can use your own badge, but I always have my sorry, you can use the conference badge, but it's always more productive if you have your own badge like this. I always prepare my own badge. People see it's different than others, and there are many other things that are written on it, and so it can start conversations. Somebody will say, "Hey, I also went to UCLA," so things like that. Um, uh, the best way to grab attention is to become a speaker at the conference. Now, it may be too late for you this time, but Uh, to make that happen, you need to know who the organizers are, and that's what you will do the first thing when you go to a conference. Go early and try to find organizers and be buddy with them, so maybe next time they can invite you as a speaker, right? Um, that's one attention grabber for sure, because when you're a speaker, people come to you. You don't have to go and chase people. Uh, a second thing is you can do is grab, you wear your company t-shirt or hat. You can do that with your startup as well. Um, it immediately gets more attention than some generic t-shirt or things that are nothing different than others. Um, then the next section is important. This is like a whole lot of digital stuff you have to prepare beforehand. So let's say you meet somebody at a conference, you want to have a LinkedIn connection template ready for them. Like, hey, I'm great to meet you at conference ABC. Um, this is what I do in one line to establish your credibility. Let's keep in touch, or there's multiple different things you can do. So keep those LinkedIn templates ready because when you send a connection request, always send connection request with a short text message. And in that short text message, this is the template I'm talking about. Now, if somebody sends you a LinkedIn connection, you should have a longer template, which goes into details about you, your company, etc., whatever your uh, goal is. So keep those LinkedIn templates ready. At least in the US, LinkedIn is used pretty much everywhere in the startup world. Um, Europe also have seen people using it, not to the extent in the US. Um, have yourself calendars from Calendly or cal.com. I like cal.com because it lets you connect multiple calendars for free. It's a free tool. You can get a lot more for free in cal.com compared to calendly.com. But there are multiple options. So when somebody is interested in meeting, you want to have that link ready. So you can book the appointment right away. Uh, there are various email templates. So uh, what I do is, let's say I meet a potential customer, then I want to have that initial intro email ready to go. Um, so before I go to a conference, I keep like a draft copy, several draft copies where I just go in, pick one of the drafts, change the name, and boom, the email goes away. So keep those email templates ready. Um, you can have physical business cards, but digital business cards are more common. Uh, these days getting more and more common. So I use Blink, but there are many other options. Um, Make sure you have your conference app downloaded and agenda. Uh, I prefer a physical copy of the agenda while walking around the conference, but it's up to you. Um, I also keep QR codes for my LinkedIn, for WhatsApp, for the calendar account handy. And I usually take a printout of it and put it in the back of my phone. So um, I don't know if you can see. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, so there are QR codes here. Um, in case your phone dies or there is no network, etc., etc., this will save you. Okay. Um, Keep a diary and a pen in case you want to take notes. Um, right. If you are a startup, which most of you are, keep a 60-second short mobile demo intro, which you can quickly pull up and kind of show it to people. Um, you can use more fancy automation agents to assess if particular company is worth your time, is your ICP, etc. I do have those when I network. Um, Now, well, that's the toolbox section. Going into pre-event networking, you don't have to go to an event to start networking. And this is where you can start sending invites to speakers. If you get attendee list and you figure out who is your ICP, then start sending them LinkedIn invites. If you get their emails, you can, send them a message saying, "Hey, I see you are coming to the conference. Let's meet up." There are some conferences that have networking apps, so take full advantage of it. Um, if there are any after parties, a lot of good things happen there. People are in relaxed mood, etc. So make sure you find out about these events before you go to the event. Otherwise, when you actually go to the event, it gets overwhelming, and you don't have all the internet tools, easy desktop to do correct search and figure out which events to go to. Um, Now, besides all this actual business networking stuff, it's important that you keep yourself energetic and healthy and uh, you know excited throughout the time. So um, hydration is important. I usually have a small camel backpack that goes below my suit. It also has some extra pockets for food, like protein bars, etc. Sometimes you will be surprised that the food that is in the conference you don't like. Maybe they don't have enough vegetarian choices, whatever. It's too carb loaded, it's too sugary, whatever the reason is. You want to keep some of your own healthy food options in the pocket so you're not hungry. Because if you're hungry, it will distract you, it will drain your energy. Similarly, keep some backpacks and cables to charge your phone. You don't want to look for electrical outlet and waste your time charging your phone elsewhere. Um, I have a jacket that has multiple pockets, so I use one pocket for the charging cables, one pocket for my business cards. So I have it all mapped out. So having multiple pockets help there. So you can do the same. This will keep you strong, like that Duracell bunny. It keeps going. Any questions so far? No question. So let's move on to the section two. This is where the rubber hits the road. You're in the war zone. But before you get into the war zone, you have to understand your ICP mindset. So what's in Fish's mind? Even you have a goal. Many people come to the conference with a goal. They want to go back to their companies and show that, hey, this conference was successful. I brought so many leads or so many partnerships or whatever. They want to show this as a success to their boss or their team. Um, so they do have that return on investment anxiety. And when you are approaching them and showing them something of value that can solve their pain point, you are giving them that satisfaction that yes, they're coming to this conference was successful. So you are not always bothering them. Um, Take immediate pictures with them. You can share it with them, um, etc. So you don't want to just go back home with conference pictures and giveaways, as I said before. You want to find those values and create value for you as well as them. And they are looking for it. Um, when people are at a conference, they usually have more open mind than if you're trying to reach out to them during their work days on LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. They are just open to talking to people. So use that window of opportunity to get access to them. Um, um, this works. The third point works for speakers when the speakers has delivered their speech or a panel portion or whatever. They are in this extremely high dopamine state, and they are very welcoming, and they are the expert, and they're very open to listen to you. So use that opportunity as well. So that's the typical conference attendee speaker psychology. But you also want to understand your ICP, the customer mindset. The customer is going around with a pain, and they want somebody to solve that pain. Um, your product may have 100 features, but only two of them are solving their pain. Focus on those two. They don't care about the rest of your product features. Just stick to the two that they care about. Um, um, they also want to know if you have the solution, you have the best solution, and are you hanging around long enough to provide support? So those are the elements that you need to bring up in eventually in your conversation. The first is, of course, talk about pain, then talk about solution, then talk about why you and not others. And then you have to give them assurance that, hey, we are around, we have served bigger customers than you, or whatever. You can leverage your founder's credibility that you have done this in other spaces for a long time, etc. So that's your customer mindset. Then there is an investor mindset. The investor is there to make money. They typically promise their LPs 10x return in 5 years. So that's like 67% IRR, very high. Um, so they really want to make sure that if they show interest in your company, it's going to multiply. And what will multiply that money? The customer money. And so it's really important for them to get confident that what you're solving is a real problem. It's a business. You're making unit money on each sale, at least over a reasonable scale, and it's not a hobby. And second, yes, you're making money. It's a business. That's good. But can it grow big enough? That's good. But you don't want it to grow big in 100 years. Can it grow big in 5 years? Can it grow 10x in 5 years? Uh, that's another thing they are assessing. And the last thing they're assessing is the team. Good enough? Can they deliver? Are there risks between interpersonal stuff between the founders? Um, are they domain experts? So those are the things that they're thinking about. So you have to address your statements, your 30-second pitch, your longer pitch, to address those things that they are trying to assess. So, as I said, you have to assess people if they are your recipe. They are also assessing whether you are the right person to talk to, right? So that's why you have to incorporate those things proactively in your pitches. All right. So I think about the event flow dynamics as a dance, and I'll go more into that later. But let's continue with our fish analogy. Um, the early bird catches the worm, or the early bird catches the fish here. uh, uh, Go to the conference early. That's when you can start practicing your pitch on few early attendees, enthusiastic attendees there. Um, and you can try multiple versions, see their reaction to see if that works. This is the time you may also be able to connect with organizers. There are not too many attendees around, so a more probability, higher probability that you will bump into an organizer, make friends with them. So next time you can be an invited speaker and not just an attendee. Um, so the second part is the the dance. So let's say the earlier part is over. You are typically talking to like some random person at a conference. So first you have to get their attention. So there is a 10-second attention grabber. Um, if they show that they're interested, maybe you touched their pain point, maybe you touched one of their goals that they want to get out of the conference, etc. So something they have to respond back. This is like a tango. You take first step, wait for them to take the second step, and that gives you permission to take a bigger step. So then you can throw them a 30 to 60-second pitch. And if they show interest, etc., then you can even bring out that short demo. So now that just tells you that, hey, the fish has bitten the bait, right? So now you have to actually go and assess if this is a right fish. then you do your due diligence. Is this company big enough? Do they have money to pay you? Is the persona right? If the persona is not right, can I get to the right persona? So these are the questions that you prepared for before. That goes into the second lot to make sure that the fish that's coming into your hand is right. Um, you typically want to note down what they liked, what their pain point is, and things like that. Um, Now, then comes the meat of it, capturing the catch. So once you see that, okay, this is the right person, now you want to make sure that you generate as many different things around it as possible. You want to quickly take a photo with that person so you can send it to them either right away. It also gives you an excuse to get your WhatsApp number or phone number, LinkedIn connections. All that should happen right away. um, I talked about those draft emails that you can potentially use one of those draft emails to send them a quick a message. Um, if you have a calendar link, you can book a calendar. This is really moving things as fast as you can. It's like, now I have this fish in the hand. Let me put it in my bucket. This is my catch, and that's what you do to catch the fish, right? Now, this is a random person meeting here in a conference. Expo Hall dynamics are slightly different. These are the companies who have paid a substantial amount, maybe $5,000, $10,000, or for bigger booths, even 20, 30, $50,000. So they definitely have money. So one of your checklist items is already taken care of. When you go to a booth, you have their website, you have their company name, you can have some gem which will quickly take that website URL and tell you whether it's an ICP, what are their pain points, any recent news. So even before you approach a booth, you have enough data quickly with you, so you can have a better conversation when you go to talk to somebody at the booth. Once you figure out that company is the right ICP for you, then you go them and try to explore the persona that you care about. Many a times the booths are populated by salespeople. Maybe salespeople is not your target. Then you ask them if there are marketing people around, if there are architects around, or if they know any architects in the company, and then you try to wiggle it through second degree connection there. Uh, so in Expo Hall, your assessment, a lot of assessment happens before, and you have a lot more data to kind of tune your pitch before you go and talk to those people. So that's what is different between other people who you have to assess a little bit later. And at the booth. At the booth, also they're ready. They're more than happy to talk to you if you come to their booth. So you don't necessarily need those attention grabbing things. But you do have to establish your credibility quickly. You have to get their pain points quickly, and then that those things are still the same. Tell them that you have a solution, you have the best solution, and yes, you will last long enough to support them. Um, so that's working general people, speakers, and the experts. Um, a lot of networking happen in the night or after the conferences. Sometimes there are no um, events after the conference, but people just hang around in the lobby. Don't skip that. Uh, 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 yeah, so that's where a lot of people are in a relaxed mood. They have nothing else to do sometimes, or they're using the same restaurant. Or you may find out where people are going. So that's a lot of good networking happens there. Um, so this is all about, um, you know, attacking the conference floor, working the floor, or hitting uh, the rubber hitting the road, etc. Um, Before I move to the next section, any questions?
I don't
Oh
think. Maybe
boy.
last we will take some questions.
Okay. So the final part, this is the post-event. This is where you have caught some fish, and now, you're not just gonna do nothing with that fish. You have to cut it and you have to eat it. That is extract the value out of it. Um, uh, what's the point in catching the fish if you cannot eventually eat it, right? So similarly, you have gathered all those leads, you have to process those leads, you have to convert them into actual business opportunities or investors, etc. And for that, follow up and follow throughs are extremely important. They multiply uh, the effectiveness of your entire conference by 10x. There will be other people you met at the conference who are proactive. They will get back to you, etc. But when you are proactive, it increases the probability of you finding customers or investors by a really big amount. So remember that. Do not skip it. So, um, what do we have to do post event? First is I'll go in the timeline kind of sense. First of all, there is an immediate follow-up. This happens within 24 hours, maximum 48 hours. You want to make sure you send a personalized email. Now, if you have those LinkedIn messages, long and short templates, this follow-up happens right away at the conference, right? Um, but if you are not able to do it in a conference, you want to do it fairly quickly. If you have taken pictures with them, share it back with them during the event. Uh, if there are any additional links you needed to send them, make sure you send it to them. Um, maybe your pitch deck or maybe your customer deck, whatever it is. You want to do those follow-ups immediately. Second, this is over several weeks period time, is to add those people into a structured campaigns. So add them to your CRM database, maybe start 3 or 4, uh, yeah, or maybe even 8 step multi-touch sequences where you reach out to them on LinkedIn and text message and email, etc. And this is where, when you are at a conference, taking all their contact information is important. Don't just connect with them on LinkedIn. Make sure you have their phone number, email. Um, follow up and follow throughs are slightly different. Follow up is when you initiate the conversation, you reach out to them, and follow through is, you promise certain thing and then or they ask you for a certain thing and then you are replying to that, making sure you are answering their questions. But both of them are important. So that happens over the next couple weeks. Um, Over a longer period of time, let's say 6 months or a year, you want to make sure that you periodically drop them a line. If you see some interesting article that maybe you cannot solve, but they have a pain point that this particular article is helpful, send it to them. Send it some relevant news. Um, go to their LinkedIn profile, like it, comment, share, those kind of things. Um, Maybe they will subscribe to your newsletter. Then those periodic follow-ups happen automatically, in a way at least. The fourth section is specifically where the person you connected at the conference is not the right person, and you have to get to the decision maker. So again, this happens over a couple weeks period. You want to make sure you ask if the person you talk to is not a decision maker or is not a critical stakeholder, you get to the decision makers. Many a times having a meeting with them, talking about this is where a more personal warm up can, the Indian, but more taking longer to establish personal credibility can help. Many a times, uh, these people have personal goals besides their company goals, where you can help. And when you offer that help, they open up the rest of their network for you, and that gives you a path into getting to other stakeholders and decision makers. So, also many a times what happens is you're talking to a particular stakeholder. and somehow they leave the company and now your lead is completely cold. So you also want to make sure, even if the person is the right person, you want to nurture and find other decision makers, other stakeholders, so the project won't just vanish just because one person left the company or got promoted or something else happened. Um, so immediate, what does that all mean for your immediate action items? I would say well, I thought you have a week to go to Paris, but it looks like it's a shorter time frame. So, over the next 24 hours, make sure your problem statement, your small pitches, etc., are ready. Over the next week, make sure your 60-second video demo is ready if you can make it happen. Your LinkedIn other templates should be, all your digital toolbox should be ready. Get a nice badge for yourself. And do research on the conference. If you can get the list of demo companies, you can many times figure out if who is your ICP, and then just focus on those 10 companies at the conference expo than the hundreds out there. It'll save you a lot of time, make it a lot more efficient. Um, yeah. With that, thank you so much.